St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service brings you Climbing the Ladder. In this generation's Children of Sugar series, we look at how our interviewees started their careers, how they were able to strive to attain their goals, and some of the character-building qualities that oftentimes they were forced to learn along the way.
My first job was at Curtis Mattis. I used to work for $19 per week. It's up the industrial site.
So what exactly did you do there?
We used to make parts for televisions and fan, air conditions, etc., etc.
Do you think you had a certain positive attitude to your work? And tell us about what you do now.
What I do now is I clean the drain at home, and I'm very proud of it. Even I had my church clothes and I see something in the drain, I take it up. I have some jobs along the other main road, and as long as I'm close one, that's my job, and I love it dearly.
So you help us to beautify St. Kitts?
Yes, I do, and I'm proud.
My job wasn't secured. I had to resign to go and study. I wasn't granted study leave with pay, so it was difficult for me. So I had to reapply to be reinstated in the teaching profession. And then one of the things I wanted to do was to give back to my community. I remember stating that to the chief education officer, because when you get higher education, you tend to be moved from, your primary section to a higher section. I remember asking, just please let me be allowed to say 6 months. I came back in January. The year would have been finished in July. And I said, I taught here as a trained teacher. Now I have a degree. Let me just give back 6 short time back to my community. I wasn't granted that opportunity. I was sent to the Bastia High School, junior high school at the time, but nonetheless, there were students there from my community too, so I was able to do something. One of my lifelong dreams is to work with adults. Some adults may have had difficulties for one reason or other, may not have had a good education or background, and they go through life managing, but not as comfortable as they would have liked. And one of the hard tasks, though, is identifying those persons. And we, in our division, Adult and Continuing Education, we're striving to see how we can meet the needs of these people. The thing about it is that you can't have a class. You can't have 20 persons in a class like you would do a regular class. You have to do a lot of one-on-one because of the nature of this work. You have to do one-on-one, and then there's a stigma attached to those persons. So you do one-on-one, and somebody might come and say, Mrs. Phillip, I have this friend who has this difficulty, and we try to contact the persons. This year, so to speak, we're having some challenges, but previous to that, we have gotten some help from the Cuban government, and we were able to use some of the materials that they gave to us, and we work with some students, and we've moved them from, you could say, the beginning to another stage, and most of them express delight and happiness because that kind of help them. Even though they might have reached where they want to be, at least you give them a tool to help themselves in a way.
I had the opportunity to get a cleaning job at National Mid-Atlantic, where Oakland Hector, Larry Harmony, Livingston Sargent was 3 stalwarts. Then came Steve Malone, Eric Williams, and Seymour Morton. He was one of my first bosses I worked along with, and I was very disciplined. That is something my mother gave to us. And I worked along, and I could remember the former premier who gave the first goat water. A man by the name of Hurricane came in the bank. He said like this, the girl, you don't watch this, showing $100 bill. You're working for much more than that. The time is $7.50 I was getting. But $7.50 in that time, it was small, but it used to do a lot because I measure my corn in my bushel.
Explain what you mean by that.
I did not buy it more than what I could chew. I picked up my little with my money that I had, so I was not in no debt. And I've learned to live with those discipline factors. I often tell my children the same thing. Do not watch anyone with what they have. Little is much while God is in it. Having my first child, I was not pleased. But my mother did said, you make your bed, lie on it. So I really had to lie on my bed, whether it was hard, lumpy, soft, firm, or whatever, I lie on it. I never tried to lower my standard any lower, though, but I worked and I worked hard. I could remember I used to do washing along with the cleaning at the bank for 2 English teachers, Alan Hughes and Dave Dennis, to help me with my stuff. I sent my daughter, Patricia DeCosta, typing to 2 people. Jermaine Morris was her first teacher, and her second teacher was Mrs. Wilkin. The values that I set for my children are the values that my mother gave to me.
Okay, so the fact that you sent your daughter to learn the art of typing tells me that you valued education for your children. Is that so?
Yes, not only that, even though she was in school, very brilliant young woman. Brilliant children the Lord has blessed me with. Very brilliant. 7 brilliant children the Lord has blessed me with. I could tell you when she began her O-level syllabus, Simon Morton came to me to give her a job in National Bank as an accountant because he got the wrong message. He had said that he came because he heard she passed X amount of subjects and she needed work, but she was going on to the 5th form instead of seeking for a job.
You mentioned that there are certain qualities that you picked up along the way, discipline being one of them. So can I assume these are some of the things that you use at your work?
At my work, even though they are inmate and they comes in for different things, I do not try to pressure them, I always tell myself you could act as a mother, a nurse, a sister, a cousin. Sometimes when the disabled one comes in, and they try to do their washing and so on, I say that it's not properly done, I will go and do it myself. And for some reason, those people and others you will find, I sit in the buses, or even standing, or going along the road, you will hear Granny! Both male and female just wave me hand, so I know where they came from, Some will say, boy, see me good officer, and those kind of stuff.
So in other words, you do not look down on persons no matter where their circumstances would have brought them from?
Not at all, not at all. I look down on no one.
There was another challenge in my life working at ZIZ when the premier at the time, Bradshaw, I remember I'd gone out late and partied as a youngster, as we were apt to do, and I got to work late. And people don't make a fuss about punctuality today, but I know back in the day, punctuality was part of being a professional, and it should still be. But when I see people coming to work today late at all hours and so on, and they feel like if they reach 15, 20 minutes late, they're early, it's astounding, because I got suspended from working at ZIZ for 2 weeks without pay for being 3 minutes late for work. And the premier said, tell young Liburd 2 weeks without pay. And even though I got to work, the premier at the time had missed his BBC News, or part of it, I still had to work that shift that morning and then go home.
Coming back home is when the current Prime Minister, the Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas, invited me to be an ambassador. I'm still in a very positive and significant sense, still doing ambassadorial work. Okay, but it's really, I perform when I'm called to do specific tasks. Okay, but I then was active, and I covered the whole of CARICOM, the OECS, and the Association of Caribbean States. So I was in and out. Even though I was based in the Virgin Islands, I would come home and spend periods of time or go around the region and work on behalf of the state. From a practical and pragmatic point of view, I still see myself as being here because I'm here virtually every month. I mean, if someone calls me to do something, as in this instance, I'm here because my very good friend, Governor of the Central Bank, Dwight Venner, called me and said, look, Simon, I would like you to do the 17th annual memorial lecture for the West. And I said, one thing you have to do when your country calls, when your friends call you, when the region calls you, you have to deliver. And much as I would have wanted to say, well, I just came back from Argentina, where I went to an intellectual and property rights conference. And, I'm president of the Eastern Caribbean Copyright Licensing Association. But I said I had to come home.
What are you currently undertaking, Professor Jones, in terms of your job, profession?
Currently, I'm the interim dean. I like to say dean for an interim period. I'm the dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences for an interim period. I have a contract until March next year as dean. But I have my contract forever as professor of economics. And the president will then make a decision whether I'm made permanent dean. And I'm enjoying it. The university now is divided into 5 colleges, and my college is the largest college, the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. So it embraces the old social sciences and humanities. So I have a whole bunch of people. I have 4 chairs working with me. I'm based on St. Croix, but I am in St. Thomas 1 or 2 days per week. And my primary motivation at this stage is to bring that college together in a very cohesive way, because it was a forced marriage and people were thinking in individual ways. And I see it coming forward. I'm getting people to appreciate that they have to do more work in terms of programs, in terms of papers, and working with students, because the principal motto of UVI is students first. And if we say students first, we really should demonstrate that both in deed and in action. So I'm trying to do that. It's a challenge, but I think challenges are best scoped in the context of where you want to go and how you want people to work with you. And your leadership style has to be either you're going to lead from in front or lead from behind, or an amalgam of both of those things. So I try to do both. And the 4 chairs with whom I work, I give them authority. I'm happen to be the dean, but in truth and in fact, each of the 4 persons could also be dean, and we work that way. But at the end of the day, I make the decision.
That was Children of Sugars Climbing the Ladder. If you are of the same age group, did you have some of those same experiences? Next week, we bring you Striving for Success when we look at some of the challenges that had to be overcome. Give us your feedback by emailing us at sknisgenerations@gmail.com. Overcoming life's challenges, demonstrating the unconquerable Kittitian and Nivision spirit.
SKNIS is now on YouTube. Just run a quick search for the SKNIS to view this program again or any of our other programs. Hit subscribe to be alerted when we upload a new video. You can also connect with us on Facebook. Get started today.